sound. One second, and we're gonna get started right away. Okay, perfect. Let's test out the sound here. Testing. Testing. Hold on. I'll have a timestamp. Okay, cool. Just have to make sure. Other device. All right, cool. All right, guys, welcome in. I just wanted to, I know a lot of you will catch the playback, but I had taken some notes on Saturn retrograding in Pisces, which every time I intentionally and purposely tap into the energy of it, like I warned you all, us all, it's a vibe shift. It's totally a vibe shift. I'm going to have some more stuff coming out on it, but anyways, I felt inspired to just go through each, especially rising sign, okay? To see, you know, what the lesson is that Saturn wants us to take. Hold on, one more thing. I forgot to mark chat. Yeah, but I wanted to go through, there we go, and just get the deeper lessons, the heart of the lesson that Saturn is helping us all master during this retrograde, which, if you don't know, he's going to finally leave Pisces for good. Until he returns again, he's going to leave in February 2026. So, and that's also when we have that big conjunction between Saturn and Neptune. Finally. They've been dancing around each other all year since they went into Aries. Okay, so that's all that I want to get through today. I'm just going to be giving like the astrological notes, so it is kind of rising sign heavy. All right, I will say that. You could use it for your sun sign, but it's rising sign heavy. Okay, so kind of know where Saturn is transiting for you, at least the house, you know. All right, and we're gonna start with Virgo just because it's Virgo season, and I had already written the order. Okay, so so I'm gonna get the timestamps. All right, and again, these are just notes and what I have tapped into to be the deeper lesson, okay, that Saturn wants you to take with you as he moves into Aries, and we literally start building something completely different. Something that hit me also while I was like going through this was like, if Saturn's at Pisces, right? And I mean, yes, it went into Pisces. I mean, it went into Aries earlier in the year, but if Saturn is in Pisces and it's retrograding, means it's going to eventually go into Aries for good. That means that it's transited the entire zodiac. And Pisces is the end. It is the last zodiac. It is the release point. So it dawned on me yesterday, like, it's more than just its most recent transit in Pisces. It's the end of the entire zodiac. Same thing with Neptune when it went into Aries, because Neptune's going to have its retrograde too this year. But same thing with Neptune going into Aries. It's the end of the zodiac. So I'm hearing now, like, yes, it's heavily charged. And when I was going into just my channeling for the eclipse coming up, and I'll share with you guys in the separate thing, not here, but it is heavily charged. It's nostalgic, unexpectedly nostalgic. It's like a culmination, like I said, of not just its transit in Pisces. It's so many of the life lessons. You could literally say, because it takes Saturn like 29 and a half, 30 years to transit the entire zodiac. You could say it's that much knowledge, even if it precedes you. Okay, that's what the Akashic is for. Like, we're all still connected by the same knowledge. All right. Okay, so that's my little spiel. We're gonna start with Virgo. And the notes that I have for you guys. Let me get your timestamp. All right, Virgo. It's been Saturn is back in your 7th house now, right? Pisces, your opposite sign. You know, that's partnerships, one-on-one partnerships. So, you know, that can be romantic, it can be business, marriage, right? Any type of one-on-one dynamic, which is usually kind of intimate. So, Saturn retrograde, and when Saturn was even in there, right, was like testing your relationships. And it was doing that, I would say, by exposing dependency. Okay, too much dependency, codependency, projection. Okay, people projecting onto you, you projecting onto other people, and illusions of idealized partnerships. And remember, we talked about that a lot with y'all having like Neptune in the 7th house, is putting people on a pedestal, right? Thus creating an idealized version of who you think people are. And so you went through a lot of lessons with that, a lot of ups and downs with that. People really showing who they are, you seeing who people really are. There could have been a lot of challenges, like I said, with your partners that require you to put some boundaries in place, you know? To really speak up about perceived unfairness or negotiate fairness, because this is a contractual house. It could have had to do with like business partners, work partners, and things like that. Saturn, you know, Saturn is the elder. Saturn is the older, the authority figure, so to speak. So it can speak to a lot of that. There could have been a lot of practice and patience too, and compromise within your relationships. Remember, the South Node, at some point, this South Node went into your sign as well. I'm hearing, what is it? Give and pull, give and take, give and take. I was seeing a pull though. The ultimate lesson, the heart of the lesson that I feel for you guys, okay? Is that authentic relationships, Virgo, require emotional honesty from you, from people that you're in relationship with, connection with. They require autonomy. So cutting those cords on codependency. They require autonomy. They require you to be an individual and anybody you're in connection with to be an individual. You know, I don't believe in 50-50 and half and come in and make a whole. It doesn't work. Okay. And mutual respect. Okay. So mutual respect versus sacrifice, which is usually what you were doing. Okay. Sacrificing yourself because you felt obligated, because you felt like it was the right thing to be a good person, you know. So Saturn doesn't care. You know, like Saturn cares, but Saturn does not care about, like, Saturn's just like, no, look, this is how it's gonna work. Like, this is the best method to do this, and your emotions don't really matter right here, you know? And so I think a lot of you had to find that balance of like being compassionate, empathetic, but also like not melting into another person, not having like these unclear entanglements, right, with people, because, okay, because Saturn's going to go into Aries again, your 8th house of shared finances, the house of enmeshment and entanglement. And so you need to have these boundaries in place when it comes to relationships, because it seems like whatever is able to go from the 7th house with you into the 8th is going to deepen. Okay, you're going to become closer to it, because the 8th house is that as well. It's ruled by Scorpio, right? It's OPP, other people's property. It's what we share with other people. So yeah, so when Saturn does finally leave Pisces, okay, the gift, right? Because you know they say that when Saturn is done with a house, it leaves a gift. It leaves a gift. All right, and so how I interpreted these gifts for you guys, anyways, is that the gift that you guys will have is emotional sovereignty. Okay, so really knowing what is yours emotionally and what is other people's, and not taking on more than your share of that. Okay, clarity when it comes to your relationship choices. Okay, so being able to be decisive in your relationships. Okay, stand up for yourself, have boundaries, have limits. Okay, and the ability to foster relationships and partnerships that are karmically aligned and deeply supportive. So not just you pouring in, but these things pour into you. These things can go with you long term. They are aligned with your vision thus far, right? Because things change, seasons change. Okay. So yeah, that's what I have for you guys, Virgo. All right. Yeah. We got the Pisces eclipse on Sunday. Well, I'll just say September 7th because it could be a different day for certain people. All right. That's what I have for you guys, Virgo. Happy solar return. I hope you guys have been having a great birthday season. All right. Let's go to Libra. And get your timestamp. Feel like a lot of Saturn and Pisces. Oh, I just have so much to talk to you guys about when it comes to it, but I feel like in a different space. All right. Libra. Rising for sure, because these are definitely house specific. So Saturn's back in your 6th house of the everyday, the grind, the hustle, the work, the routine, your health, what you do for service to others, but also yourself. Okay, your habits. In the 6th house, this has been really testing your routines, okay, your work responsibilities and health. This is a big health house. So you guys could have definitely been experiencing a lot of restrictions, okay, stress, overextending yourselves in service to other people, and probably some health concerns that could have been surfacing and demanding your attention. One thing that I have been learning with the short time that Saturn has been in my 6th house is that a lot of the health things, in my observation, not a medical anything, child, okay? I don't have the patience to do it. But in my observation, it's been connected, directly connected to overworking, overextending. That's where I've been able to pinpoint the health stuff. Okay. Now this has really forced you to recognize that discipline and service to others must honor your limits. Okay, you have limits, and Saturn is what? Limits. Saturn is limitations, it's rules, it's boundaries. Okay, and so Saturn there has really been pushing you to honor that and create routines, habits, health things, services that are sustainable, because Saturn is also about the long term, right? So Saturn is the elder. It excuse me, was a little slower. So Saturn thinks long term. And so you've been charged to really create habits and routines and things that will sustain you in the long term, not just in the present moment. So a lot of you may have been slowed down, or if not, those health things came up. Okay, and that's to set you up for, again, long-term success, not just in the moment. Saturn doesn't just think from moment to moment. Okay, so I think the gift that you guys are taking with you, right? We graduating, y'all. We graduate in February. We might just have a graduation ceremony. Feel me? Like, oh man. But the gift that you guys will take with you, I think, is a more structured and balanced daily life, right? And that's important. I mean, the shit you do every day, right? You want it to be something that you can do. Like, you wake up and you're like, okay, yes, like I got this and I can do this. Not just having scattered energy and feeling like you're a slave to your life. Because that's also what I've been noticing, that Saturn can feel like in the 6th house, like you're a slave to your life. And that's usually when your boundaries are lacking and when you're leaking energy everywhere and your energy's scattered. And Saturn doesn't like that. Okay? Because he's wise. He knows that that's not gonna work long term. Okay? But you'll have a more structured, balanced daily life. You're gonna have a stronger health. If you've been paying attention to that. Now Saturn rewards. Right? Saturn ain't just passing out handouts. Okay? And lastly, the ability to serve others without losing yourself. And that is directly connected to sustainable habits, creating sustainable systems for yourself. for yourself first, okay? And then pouring into others. All right. And that makes sense, right? Because Saturn is about to go in February. I mean, you've had a little taste of it being in your seventh house, but in February, it's going to go back into your seventh house for good and then keep pushing of one-on-one relationships, contracts, you and other people. So you see why this makes sense. Okay. So that's what I have for you, Libra. All right, y'all enjoy the rest of your day or whenever you see this. Okay. Let's go to Scorpio. I'm on Scorpio, guys, if you're coming in. I did Virgo, Libra, and I'm starting Scorpio. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. It's a little bit, you gotta like go out and hit the like button. It's not like the heart in the live, although I appreciate that too. Okay, Scorpio, let me fix your timestamp. All right. So Scorpio, you've had a little taste of Saturn in your 6th house this year in Aries, but now it's back in your 5th house of Pisces. That does trine you, right? It does trine you because it's another water sign, and if you're Scorpio rising, then that's a good aspect. And the 5th house is creativity, it's romance, it's joy, it's children, it's your childhood, it's your inner child too. It's your entrepreneurial endeavors, especially as they are tied to like your creativity, you know. It's a bit of I would say like a more sovereign house. Like it represents independence in a way, like your authentic creativity, because it's ruled by Leo, and Leo's a pretty independent sign. Now, this is not, I mean, this is Saturn retrograding in your 5th house. You know the flavor of it. It's been there since 2023, right? And in that time, it's really tested your creativity, right? Did y'all feel that creative block? Or what felt like a creative block sometimes, right? Even with self-expression, with Saturn there, I've realized that can feel very... like restricting almost, like you just can't find the words, you know. I've experienced that a lot with Saturn in the 5th house, and we'll talk about why. I've come to realize like why that's the thing. It's tested romance, it's tested, really, I think the heart of that is like it's tested your ability to feel joy, like to truly connect with life from that blissful, playful, joyful place without taking everything so serious. Like, you know, I've really felt that with that transit. You know, it's like the playfulness could have been stifled by trying to get everything perfect, right? Or this fear of judgment. And that ties back to what I was saying about Saturn restricting or feeling like it's restricting your self-expression or your creativity, right? So there's this fear of being judged or being too raw, right? Too out there. Because remember, this is 5th house, is naturally ruled by Leo, who naturally, innately, I won't say naturally, I don't think all Leos naturally enjoy the spotlight, but innately it's in them, right? To be in the spotlight, to be the center of something, to speak boldly, to speak from the heart, courage. Those are all Leo words for that house. But those things, and again, romance, so dating, partnership, you know, could have felt very heavy, just like it was restricted. Now, I think the challenge that Saturn was really trying to press here, like really get you to see, right? Because we know Saturn's not just punishing us, you know, there's something to learn, like there's something to gain, there's wisdom to be gained. Saturn was challenging, the challenge was to show that true freedom and joy comes through discipline, comes through responsibility, comes through authenticity. So I'm hearing like container. And so especially for creative endeavors, Scorpio, Saturn needed structure there. Saturn wasn't there to say, you know, all your dreams are unrealistic, right? Because that's the thing that people use with Saturn is he's realistic, it's realistic. But it's just like, well, are you going to do the things that need to be done to create the structure for this to take off, to be long term? Remember, Saturn thinks in long term. So If it's something creative, if it's a business or something, Saturn's like, okay, cool, you got a dream. Like, all right, let's put the stuff in place for this to work, for this to make you money, for this to be sustainable, for you to enjoy it. Like, because another thing, like if you're scattering your creative energy and you don't have a direction for it, you don't have a vision, you're gonna burn out. Remember, Saturn thinks about that. Saturn knows that. Saturn already has that wisdom. So it's going to feel like Saturn's slowing you down and raining on the parade and being a party pooper. But Saturn's like, nah, see, if you keep continuing like this, I see like 2-3 years down the line, you're going to be tired. You're not going to be able to sustain this. Right? And authenticity too. So Saturn also did not care for your performance, so to speak, if it wasn't authentic. So connecting with life, connecting with friends, things like that could have felt restricted if those were not authentic connections, if you could not be yourself, if you were constantly wearing a mask. All right, so you've kind of been releasing some of these pressures too, and I think that's what this Saturn retrograde is going to do for you. Okay, and I think the gift that you guys will have and inherit with this is confident creativity. So stop second guessing your individuality. Emotional maturity, excuse me, when it comes to romance. That's definitely something that Saturn was strengthening there for you guys, your partners, and how you connect romantically. So you'll probably be more serious in your dating life, or if you're with someone, you will probably be more serious, your standards, things like that, and more in control of your emotions. Okay, so it could have matured a relationship if it lasted through this Saturn transit. And I think you'll also have a more joyful, authentic engagement with the pleasures of life. And a lot of you through this time have, you've evolved, in which you used to enjoy in life, you don't anymore with this Saturn leaving here. And maybe you have I hear more refined taste, okay? So I think it's I think this Saturn retrograde here and the Pisces lunar eclipse is actually going to be a bit surprising for y'all, Scorpio. I think it's going to be enjoyable. All right, so that's what I have for you guys. All right, let's go to Sagittarius. Okay, Sag. Oh, and then for Scorpio, real quick, Scorpio, it's going to go back into your 6th house. So you having created, like, say, for example, I'll use an example for this. You do have a creative business. Now you take that structure, and now Saturn's about to go into your everyday life. Now you're about to build upon it, and now it's about to be your everyday thing. Now Saturn's going to show you, or work with you to show you now how we put this in practice every day, how we make this a part of our life without burning out, right? And still being able to enjoy it, right? Because you're about to build something in the 6th house. So Saturn needs to, you have to still have that connection to life though. You still have to, right? That's one thing I learned. You can't let that joy leave, right? And that's something that Saturn has taught us in this house. It's like, we still gotta find time for joy. We still gotta find time for play. Like, there has to be a balance in what you're about to build in the 6th house. You need that. Okay, so that's what I wanted to put there. All right, sorry, Scorpio. 24, 5. All right, Sagittarius, excuse me. This is Scorpio's moving from your 5th house of Aries and sliding back into your 4th house of home, family, your emotions, your ancestry, where you come from, your lineage, your mother. Okay. Now, during the time that Saturn has been there, right, because it first went in there in 2023, it has been probably testing family dynamics, okay, home responsibilities, your emotional anchor, right, how you feel deeply, right, because 4th house is the most private house in the chart. It's the house a lot of people don't see of others, okay. And so you could have been confronted with a lot of ancestral patterns. I remember Saturn going through my 4th house. I'm a natal 4th house Saturn. family obligations, feeling like it's your duty, feeling tethered to family can really feel like that with Saturn in the fourth house. And a lot of it could have really been pressing on unresolved emotional wounds, which probably for a lot of you connect to the family, connect to the past. Fourth house is the past, how you grew up, things like that. So you were meant to be establishing like emotional security independently of external circumstances. So no matter what's going on, we're anchored here. We're anchored within. We have this like strong will within us with this Saturn here, being able to like confront things, confront our emotions, confront difficult family things, family topics, things like that. And also, you guys were being asked to create boundaries that protect your peace. And so, yeah, that could have definitely been the one, especially with this being in the fourth house. It's a lot with family. But again, that's your emotions. So having boundaries when it comes to your emotions, what can affect you, what you're going to, you know, emotionally invest in. Okay. Now, I think the deeper lesson for you guys, again, I think that's it, is creating that emotional anchor, right? An anchor creates stability, keeps things right in place. It's solid. So the lesson was that true stability really comes from inner resilience rather than imposed obligations. So what do I mean by that? Like, I think Saturn in the fourth house can make us, like I said, feel like wear martyrdom as a badge of honor. Well, I'm this in my family and I do this for everyone and that's just how I do it and that's just the way it is, right? Because Saturn can also be that, like the way things have always been, and right, Saturn is old. Saturn is the elder. Okay, yeah, I think a lot of Saturn in the fourth house, Pluto in the fourth house is a lot of like curse breaking, generational curse breaking type of stuff. You doing the different thing. You being the family member that's like, wait a minute, this is not right. Like, hold on, I only set a boundary here. Like, you know, so you could have went through a lot of that. And so the gift, Sag, the gift, right? So we're all ready to get to the gift that you will carry forward from this, I think, is a more harmonious home environment because you've created boundaries. They were needed. It might be the harder thing to do, but they were needed. Emotional strength and resilience, and more clarity in your family relationships. So that doesn't mean that all relationships will go with you. But a lot of what I'm also seeing, a lot of this Saturn and Pisces that I got in my downloads, is there might be some deep forgiveness that comes over you too. Okay? Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Just, it will be something that you feel. It will be a wave. A lot of what we're going to be experiencing, I feel like with Saturn and Pisces, is waves that come over us that you're not pushing it down. Like, the shit is going to wash you over. Okay? Like, so... yeah, that's what I have for you, Sag, okay? Hang in there, all right? Saturn, fourth house natal here. Anybody else? If you guys come back and watch this, anybody else have natal Saturn in the fourth house? All right, let's go to Capricorn. We'll just put you at 10. I need a sip of water real quick. Okay, Cappy. All right, so Saturn is, I'm sorry, I had like a brain fart there. You've gotten a little taste of Saturn being in your fourth house of Aries, right? But now it's back in your third house. It was there from 2023, so you know the flavor of it. Third house is communication, it's siblings, it's your local environment. It can be your car or your commute, right? Short distance trips. On a deeper level is how we process information. It's our mindset. It's naturally ruled by Gemini. I always call it the learning mind because it's opposite the ninth house, which is like the existential mind, the philosophical mind, the bigger concepts mind, right? The big picture. Where I feel like the third house is more like, it's grade school, right? It's where we learn all the things supposed to learn. 2 plus 2 is 4. 1 plus 1 is 2. Like, it's not much room for like theory. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. So yes, that's the third house. Now, with Saturn having been there since 2023, it was definitely testing communication, right? How you communicate, how you're communicated with, how you learn and process information, and any local connections around you. So third house, I think, can be kind of similar to the sixth house. It's people you're seeing every day. It's people you talk to every day, that you communicate with every day. During this time, there could have been some misunderstandings with siblings, neighbors, because it's your community, or just things. I'm hearing mismatch. So like mismatch, like you within your local environment, in your community, your immediate environment, immediate surroundings. And that could have caused a lot of frustration for you, where you felt restricted or limited. Saturn was challenging you guys to develop clarity, okay, precision, accountability in how you communicate, how you convey ideas. Okay, so maybe some of the tension here could have also been, I'm kind of channeling into like somebody who's like afraid to speak up, and you see how that can create like muddiness or muddled relationships in a muddled environment around you, where there's a lot of unspoken things, there's a lot of tension under the surface. Okay. I think the deeper purpose was to, again, teach you discipline in your thoughts, right? So I think Saturn could have really gone to town on any type of inner critic that you may have felt, okay? And just those voices, you know, the things we tell ourselves every day, okay? But teach you discipline in thought, in speech, how you communicate. Like I said, I feel like a lot of you might speak more confidently, okay? And again, how you learn. So discipline in your learning abilities, okay? Maybe creating actual time, maybe setting time aside, really structuring something. So the gift that you guys are going to have at the end of this, much more sharper mental activity. I'm hearing quicker on your feet, quicker on your feet. Clear communication skills. I think that's probably the big one. Like clear communication skills, being able to communicate with people in a very assertive and more matter-of-fact way. And lastly, mastery over any type of responsibilities that you have to your local environment, which can literally be your home too, right? Or people around you that you have responsibility to. Like, for example, if you're a teacher, that would be your students, the third house. Learning, people you see every day, your commute, okay? So, yes, that's what I have for you, Capricornus. All right, let's slide on into Aquarius. Actually, the moon is in Aquarius today. Is it? No, the moon's still in Capricorn today. I'm thinking about, because I did the readings for tomorrow, when the moon's gonna go into Aquarius. All right, speaking of Aquarius, good segue. Pluto. I'm looking at your second house, and I'm tripping. I'm sorry. I'm looking at second house, and I was still thinking about Capricorn, whose second house is Aquarius, and that's where Pluto is for that. And okay, so Aquarius. The second house is Pisces for you, so that's where Saturn is retrograde. That's what we're talking about. Now, the second house for you is finances. For everyone, it's finances, it's values, your values, it's your self-worth, it's the things that you have acquired, that you have accumulated for yourself, okay? Now, Saturn there, you know the flavor of that since 2023. That has been testing your relationship with money itself. Okay, your personal values and self-worth, which are all kind of tied together, right? How we feel about ourselves really translates to like what we feel we can attract as far as like money and things. And second house is things. Okay. So a lot of you were confronting financial limitations that you had. Okay, whether that have been self-imposed, like tied to your values and your worthiness, or outside of you. You were having to confront misaligned priorities. Okay, so if there was an overemphasis on your things, right, like having emotional attachments to your possessions, Saturn came through and really is trying to rectify that. Okay, create some limits, some boundaries. So there could have been some losses. Okay, there could have been some losses, some things taken away as Saturn recalibrated what is actually necessary, or like what actually matters long term. Saturn's gonna come through and cut the fluff wherever he transits. And so I think the deeper lesson was that true self-esteem has to be rooted in integrity. It has to be rooted in integrity, not the things that you've accumulated for yourself, not the nice house and the nice car, and like those are just the decorations. Okay, but it's not where your self-esteem comes from. In fact, it can't be tied to that at all. And I think that's what Saturn was teaching by, if you did lose things, or they were taken away or restricted or something like that, that was the lesson, I feel. Or to be more responsible with those things as well, because Saturn is about responsibility. And also Saturn probably connected you more with integrity and alignment versus external validation from outside people. And again, that can be things. So the gift you guys will carry as Saturn leaves and blesses you with one is going to be a lot more financial clarity. Okay, a better relationship with money. Okay, and that can be shown by a literal gift, perhaps. Okay. More grounded self-worth. That's going to be directly tied to your finances, your grounded self-worth, knowing who you are, knowing what your standards are, knowing what you will accept. Okay. And a more disciplined, this is a big one too, moving forward, a more disciplined and conscious approach to managing your resources. Okay, to managing the things that you have. All of that is just really tied all together. All right, so why am I hearing that? I'm hearing living my life like it's golden. Some of you could feel like that after, like, you really have a hold on something, you have a hold on such a physical house, on such a tangible house. The second house is very important. All right, so that's what I have for you, Aquarius. Okay, let's go to Pisces, another star of the show. Another star of the show, because you are where Saturn is retrograding, Pisces. And so Pisces rising, that's going to be you in your first house. That's literally the house of self. It is our identity, our presence, how we show up, our persona. Right? Like they say, the rising sign is like the mask we wear. Like if you were to meet somebody you didn't know and they were to guess your sign, they might guess your rising sign before they guess your actual sun sign. That's how you can kind of think about it. Okay, right? Because you're just getting to know somebody. You don't necessarily know their sun sign. You don't necessarily know the ins and outs of their personality and stuff. Okay, so anyways, Pisces, first house. This has really been testing your identity, your personal presence, and boundaries. Okay, your boundaries, yes. So you guys could have experienced actually a lot of confusion here. And if you did, that was Saturn telling you need to clear something up. You don't have a clear boundary if you're confused about something. You don't have a clear understanding if you're confused about something. Saturn doesn't deal in confusion. Okay. Self-doubt. You guys could have gone through a lot of self-doubt, and now I'm hearing self-actualization, and that could have been what Saturn was working on with you. Self-actualization, like really coming into yourself. This could really be like a maturing thing for you guys. Okay, where you feel just more mature, more of yourself, more confident in being yourself. I'm hearing, I got a new attitude. Okay. You guys could have also been dealing with external pressure to conform to other people's expectations, and you see where those boundaries got to come in, right? Now, you were really facing illusions about yourself, okay? And you really had to integrate some of your shadow, okay? You had to integrate that shadow with some of the light. Okay, because I think a lack of boundary in the first house can have you over. It's, to me, it's almost like South Node in the first house, like Virgos. See, one and the same. Y'all going kind of do the same stuff in a different way. It's like overextending, not knowing where you end and another person begins because you're so enmeshed and entangled. But also priding yourself on that. And Saturn comes through like, whoa, 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 cut this illusion. Oh, wait a minute, you know? So that's what that feels like, integrating the shadow, boundaries, you know, saying no more, maybe coming off more stern, more matter of fact, more assertive. Those were things that were beneficial to you, though, from Saturn. And it was challenging you to claim your authenticity by doing those things. Because a lot of times when we're just constantly agreeing to things, we're not operating as in our authentic self. We're trying to people please. Okay, so the deeper lesson was that true confidence really arises from aligning your inner truth with outward expression. So this was forcing you to align how you show up in the world to other people with who you really are in the inside. Okay, I'm hearing less peachy. All right, so when Saturn leaves you, Pisces, when it leaves you, you will carry the gift of a very like integrated self. Your shadow is there. You know, and you're not demonizing it, calling it mean and stuff. Your presence is more authentic. People feel that you are more authentic because of those boundaries. See, you thought they were mean. You thought those boundaries were mean. You thought saying no was mean. People appreciate this authentic version of you much more. Okay, and just feeling like you are in alignment. Seriously, I think feeling like you are in alignment, and this is so good because Saturn's going into your second house of self-worth, okay, of personal power, bringing this personal power into a finance house. All right, so that's what I have for you, Pisceans. All right, beautiful people, y'all have a great rest of your day, whatever you see this day and night. Okay, Aries, let's go. I'm getting tired singing songs. I'm always singing songs, but anyways, okay. Aries. Pisces has slid back into its natural house, right? Which is your 12th house naturally. And that's the subconscious, it's karmic, it's isolation, it's the past, it's rest. It's the hidden house. That's what I nicknamed it. The hidden house is very sneaky house. Okay. It's like constantly trying to like look all the way behind you and you can't quite. That's how I describe the 12th house. Now, this has been there since 2023, so it's just sliding back there. So it's familiar territory for you, at least for Saturn in you. Now, this was bringing your hidden fears up, old guilt, subconscious blocks all came to the surface during this transit. Okay, and you know, a lot of you could have felt invisible, maybe even unsupported. You could have felt trapped by certain responsibilities that honestly what you were learning were never really yours to carry in the first place. Okay, and it pissed you off. Okay, and so you had to confront these patterns of self-sabotage where you would still be agreeing to do those things, sabotaging yourself, even though you know it wasn't right, you know it wasn't yours to carry. This made you confront patterns of avoidance, escaping. And some of you, that escapism, because this is the 12th house, because this is Pisces, could have been through by means of like drinking, could have been drugs, overindulgence. Okay, I'm just saying it because of the specific Pisces 12th house can be that. Mental health, okay, escaping mental health things as well. And all of this was really forcing you to find strength within your own inner world, not escape it. Okay, fortify it. And so Saturn's real lesson there was really to show you that true resilience comes from facing those fears, comes from facing those shadows. And so if you were avoiding it, Saturn probably put you in situations where you had to face it. And that could have felt sobering. Okay. You had to release burdens rather than, like I said, hide from them through escapism. Like work can be escapism for you guys, because this is a 12th house, 6th house axis. 6th house is work. Drugs, drinking, avoidance, etc. So now when Saturn leaves Pisces, and that's your 12th house, you guys are going to carry a gift of emotional and spiritual clarity. A lot of you could have gone through like a spiritual awakening. Okay? You're going to have a lot more compassion for yourself. Okay? A lot more compassion for yourself. And there's going to be just kind of like this calm mastery that you will have when it comes to facing challenges that once felt overwhelming. And this is important because Saturn is now going into the house of you. Okay? It's going into the house of you next. So to fortify your spiritual world, really let go of any past burdens and guilt and shame and those hidden things is really powerful. Now you're going to be much lighter as Saturn goes into your first house in February. For good. Well, you know, next 2-3 years. Okay. Let's go ahead and get to Taurus. That's what I have for you, Aries. Okay, Taurus. Taurus, Saturn has slipped back into your 11th house, right? Of friendships. These are your networks. These are your long-term goals for the future. And Saturn has been there since 2023, so the retrograde energy is something you're familiar with. You know, Saturn being in this area of your life. And it's tested, you know, the authenticity and loyalty of your social circles. Okay, and your long-term goals, right? So during this time, like your friendships could have really felt strained. Your dreams could have felt like they were being delayed, or your long-term plans, or like ideals that maybe you shared in certain groups and things like that could have started to reveal themselves to be like misaligned with how you actually feel or your personal values. Okay? So you and certain groups don't see eye to eye anymore. You don't value the same things anymore. This is what you could have been going through, right? And Saturn was really challenging you to discern like which alliances genuinely support your growth, which were just draining you karmically, and you felt tied to it. You felt like you had to do it. Obligation to society. Now, the deeper lesson was to commit only to communities, friendships, and goals that resonate with your soul, not out of obligation or idealization. Now, some of you became, I'm hearing secret societies, right? Now, right, they're just giving me that word. Could be for some of you, but some of you, you wanted to be a part of certain organizations or groups or networks, or, you know, only to get there and realize like, damn, you know, it's prestigious and they're so smart, and they have this connection and this connection, but I don't really have a connection to this. My heart is not in this. I don't really feel deeply tethered to this. It would just be another thing to put on my resume, or it would just look good here, or that could have happened for some of you guys. And so Saturn forced you to reckon with that. Remember, Saturn deals with authenticity, not fluff, not what looks cute and pretty. Saturn doesn't care. Okay. So the gift, Taurus, the gift that you'll carry forward is the ability to cultivate more loyal and aligned social connections. And you will probably be able to cut through the fluff of any like long-term plans so that you're able to pursue aspirations with much more grounded clarity. Because what Saturn will do there is like, I'm seeing like somebody just ripping papers like, oh, that's not working. That's not it. That's not it. It's like what Saturn is doing here is fine tuning your long-term vision, right? Well, what can go forward now? You know, what can go forward? All right, because Saturn's about to go into a quote unquote hidden house for you guys, or back into the 12th house in February, back into Aries. All right. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm tripping, y'all. I'm like, the houses and like the thing is just confusing me right now. I'm like, Taurus rising, but wait, 11th house. Anyways, that's what I have for you guys, okay? Let's go to Gemini. I just have Gemini, Cancer, and Leo left in here. Okay, Gemini. Saturn is moving back into your 10th house, was back in your 10th house. This is the most public house of the chart. It's our career, our public life, our reputation. So it can be your job, your status, right? Like whether you're single or married or, you know, titles, okay? Now, Saturn's been here since 2023, so this is not new to you, right? Where Saturn has been testing like your career and reputation, your professional responsibilities and duties. And a lot of you could have felt like you experienced delays here, delays in recognition, pressure from authority figures, obstacles that could have really like exposed illusions around like ambition and success. Hold on, guys. So, um, right, so it could have exposed illusions about ambition and success and, you know, really exposing like, are you just going after this because you feel like you have to? Or are you going after this because you want to and you can see yourself doing this long term? Or this is something that you really want for yourself, not something somebody else wants for you, or you think that the title or the status is going to, you know, add to your value or your worth. You know, Saturn really wanted you to understand that true professional growth comes from integrity. It comes from patience. It comes from consistent effort rather than like quick gains and external validation. So that's why if things were delayed, if you felt like you weren't getting recognized, like Saturn was like really making sure that you understood those core concepts. Um, so I think by February 2026, because that's when Saturn's going to leave and finally go into Aries, I think the gift that you guys will carry is a clearer sense of purpose, like what you're supposed to be doing, what you're meant to be doing, more aligned. I think you guys will have the earned respect, okay, and recognition. I do. And I think you guys will have a more solid foundation when it comes to your public and professional life. Okay, so I think you'll be more established, so to speak. And I think that with the help of Saturn, it helped you do it the quote unquote right way versus taking, Saturn doesn't do shortcuts and detours and handouts, you know? So that's what I have for you, Gemini. All right. Let's go to Cancerians. Okay, Cancer. Pen's being weird. Okay, so Saturn is back in your ninth house. This is your beliefs. This is higher learning. It's the existential God house, right? It's naturally ruled by Sagittarius. It's your philosophies, spirituality. It's travel, long distance travel, right? So like other countries, foreign lands. Now, this is not new. Saturn's been there in 2023, so him being in this part of your chart is not a new vibration for you. So again, this has been, you know, testing your beliefs, your spiritual frameworks, any higher learning that you've been involved in. And so a lot of you could have dealt with disillusionment, okay? Especially around people you looked up to. So like mentors, especially like spiritual mentors as well. There could have been delayed educational opportunities, like you've been wanting to take a class, you've been wanting to get into something else, you know, get into this, get into that, learn this, take up this trade. Even obstacles in travel that really could have challenged your faith. I think that was the thing Saturn was doing here, really challenging your faith. Okay. And so this has been like forcing you to like examine, the authenticity of your philosophy, like your philosophy on life, and discern like where you have been clinging to outdated or idealized ideals. What I've realized with a lot of Cancer risings during this transit is that a lot of family programming came up. A lot of these just regurgitated concepts of like, oh, I just do this and oh, I just do that because when I grew up, that's what they said you're supposed to do, or when I grew up, this is what I learned, versus going off of your lived experience. And I think that's what Saturn was kind of pushing you to do here. Like the deeper lesson with Saturn wanted you to cultivate spiritual integrity through lived wisdom rather than just relying on theory and like wishful thinking and like, well, I heard and like this and that. Saturn was like, no, but what have you been through? Like, what have you learned? Like, what's the wisdom? Like, that's where I want you to get this from, not regurgitated dogma. And that's not me coming for anybody's like religious beliefs or anything like that. Perhaps you deepened in that, but you would have done it in a way where it wasn't just like these concepts like treat others the way you want to be treated. It was like, no, I had this experience where so and so did this and I treated them and they treated me like this and I learned this from that, and you live your life from those principles that you've built yourself. Okay, I hope that makes sense. That was one of my favorite ones to do. So I think the gift that you guys will get from this is a more grounded and expansive worldview. So you guys could have been more, like Saturn made you become more open-minded. Okay, maybe you engage with different cultures, you learn different things. And again, that's all acquired wisdom through experience, through lived experience. And you'll have a lot more spiritual clarity that will guide your life more authentically versus just regurgitated dogma that you may have never aligned with. Okay, you were just handed it and said, hey, use this philosophy to guide your life. And now you have your own, and that's what Saturn, is hoping you take with you. Your own philosophy. You've lived life a little bit now. What have you learned? All right? That's what I have for you, Cancerians. All right, lastly, let's get to the Leos. All right, Leo. I was gonna say Cancer. You see what I'm saying? Man, I'm getting tongue-tied, all these planets and stuff. Saturn is back in your 8th house, okay? Of intimacy, shared resources. It's the house of death and rebirth. Transformation. It's intimate. It's taboo. It's the place where people don't want to go, Anyway, so Saturn has been there for you since 2023. So this is not new to you. Hasn't been there in a while, though. And so this has really tested your ability to navigate intimacy, navigate your shared resources with other people, navigate personal transformation. Okay, so emotional and financial entanglements could have really started to drudge up like hidden fears or even power struggles that were, because the 8th house is another hidden house. It reminds me of the 12th house. It's deep, it's very hidden. So Saturn could have forced you to reckon with where you are in certain entanglements, either emotionally or financially, because of a fear, because you fear something, or because there's a power struggle or something. So, Saturn was challenging you to release those attachments, okay? And really confront your vulnerabilities that lie underneath them, okay? And also to trust the process, because there could have been a lot of endings and rebirths here in the 8th house. We kind of don't have control over it, okay? So you had to trust the process too. Saturn was teaching you a lot of that. Surrender with some of this. I think the deeper purpose was to teach that true transformation comes from surrender. It comes from emotional self-mastery, not control, not avoidance, right? So it was like pendulum swinging too far this way, Saturn's like, no. Swinging too far this way, Saturn's like, no. Right here, okay? So, right, surrender from emotional self-mastery. It's like knowing when and where, knowing where to hold, knowing where to fold, because this is a house that involves other people. So the gift, By the time Saturn leaves Pisces for you, Leo, I think that you guys will have the gift of emotional depth. Like you will know how to go deep but not spiral in it, right? Saturn is bounds, it's limits, okay? You can't skip the work, but Saturn's not going to let you get lost in it. You just have to trust the process. Okay, you'll have a lot more confidence in handling intimate situations and being more intimate and knowing that it's not a weakness. And you'll have a lot more mastery over cycles of transformation. Okay, and this is preparation for the 9th house, where some of you could have a spiritual awakening. Some of your beliefs are going to be tested, and you already know how to transform because you've had this Saturn moving through the 8th house of just that. All right, so that is what I have for all of you today. I just wanted to come and share those quick notes. I'll have it time-stamped afterward, and I hope that you guys are having a great day. That should have been one of the first things that I said. Sorry, sometimes I can get a little nervous when I get on and just like, all right, let me just jump into it. But I hope you guys are having a great day whenever you do catch this, and I will catch you guys soon. All right, enjoy the rest of your Mercury day. Till next time.